It felt like that he was hitting me. But after a little while, after him screaming at me and I was telling him, no, you ain't getting my money, I just finally gave up and I gave in to the robber's demands. I gave him the $20, and he said some cuss words or whatever, and they left. I think a car pulled in or something, and it scared them, so they left. At the time, I was like real confused about what was going on. So I didn't get a license plate number. I couldn't give the police a good description of them because the lights that were shining in behind me kind of blinded me for where I couldn't see nothing. But anyways, after all this was over, they left, and and I was just sitting there, and I didn't really know what to do. I mean, I was confused. I mean, should I go call the cops? But what I thought, I needed to go home, call the cops, calm down, and carry on. So I decided I was going to drive home. So I took off, and I was about halfway back home, and my legs were killing me at this time. It felt like there was just a bunch of needles being pushed into my legs. I finally got home, and I started getting out of the car, but something reddish caught the glimpse of my eye, and I looked down, and there was a puddle of blood that was in my floorboards. And I didn't think it was mine. I thought maybe I got a couple of good looks on him and busted his nose or whatever, and it was bleeding. So I really didn't think none of it. I got out and started walking inside to call the cops. But every time I took a step, my leg was killing me right now. But I kept hearing a tapping noise. It was like metal to concrete sound. It was like a clicking noise. And I thought somebody was walking behind me, so I looked around and nobody was there. So I took a couple more steps, and I kept hearing it. So I looked down at my boot, and there it was. That knife was stuck in all the way through my boot, all the way through my foot, and sticking out the other side. And every time I walked, it was, it clicked the concrete. Like I said, my leg was killing me still. And, I just thought at the time that it was, every time I kicked him, I thought he was hitting me, but that wasn't what happened. After I seen the knife that was in my foot, I kept checking around on my leg, and I found that there was 4 puncture wounds, two on my thigh, and 2 on my calf, and then of course the one that went through my foot. At that point, I fell down to my knees, and I called out to my neighbors, which my neighbors came out and asked me what was wrong, and I told them I'd been stabbed. So they called the cops and called an ambulance, and I was rushed to the hospital. Which, at that point, I'd never even thought about it, but I kind of got in trouble with the military, too, because I did not go to a military hospital. So they really didn't know where I was at, and I didn't show up for work, so they considered me UA until they found out what actually had happened. Like I said, I'd been stabbed 5 times, 2 in the thigh, and 2 in the calf, and once through the foot. For my understanding, every time I kicked him, he stabbed me. Other than that, the rest of it was kind of a blur because I remember getting rushed to the hospital. But after all that had happened that day, I was not ready for the psychological effects that that day took effect on me. I found myself always looking over my shoulder, checking to see if anybody's sneaking up on me. I didn't want to meet new people anymore. I just didn't trust anybody. I mean, who knew what they was up to? And that's what I thought in my head. But the good side of that story is, the robbers that robbed me that day, I guess they wasn't too smart because they didn't remember that inside the ATM machines there's cameras and there's a video camera in there, so it's taking pictures every few seconds. But the men, they were caught. They were sentenced to 5 years, I think, if I remember right. But after that day, I have never put myself in that to into a predicament like that again. If I go to an ATM machine, it's in broad daylight, it's at a bank, inside, I don't pull up to them no more. And that's just the effects that day had of me. And to this day, I still have them. But it's happened. That would happen about 4 years ago. And now I can sit back and laugh about it, and me and my parents laugh about it, and they called me a big sissy and everything because they said I was screaming. But until you're in that situation, you don't know what you'll do. But like I said, a simple task like going to an ATM to get out money changed the way that I trust people, and I'm getting better every day. I am meeting new people. Church has helped me out a lot with that. But other than that, that's my story, and that concludes my speech. And y'all have a good day, and God bless every one of y'all.